I would think to myself that it wasn't something I had even heard of or something I nurtured since childhood. Growing up, I didn't even know I wanted to be a writer because nobody talked about writing as a profession in those days. But now I look back and think that it was certainly an outcome of my years of association with stories right from my childhood, and that wonderful realization that this is something I want to do with my life. Publishing happened to me just about the same way journalism did, both for the love of stories. Working as a full-time correspondent for one of the local newspapers for 5 years, which I still think was where I gave the best years of my life, and I wouldn't trade the experience for anything else in the world. But while it had given me an enriching experience, there wasn't any scope for savings at all. So when I ventured into publishing after quitting full-time journalism in November 2013, I did with nothing in my pockets but dreams. Yes, there were financial hurdles, but I have been blessed with a very generous family who have supported me throughout the journey from day one till today. I remember printing the first pen trail book with financial contributions from my loved ones, and even with nothing left for the second imprint, during that point of time, I persisted on. In 2014, I did a certificate course in book publishing at the National Book Trust, New Delhi. If I were to continue doing this, then I might as well learn the basic things that make a publishing house run. The course did help, but as I would realize later, nothing stays with you more than practically experiencing things yourself. And I'm still learning every day with every book and every experience. The journey of a book is not as easy as it looks, although from the time it is being written, the journey has already begun. The writing aspect of it is altogether a different story, but once a manuscript has been accepted, it goes through a lengthy process of editing, among other things like layout and designing, proofreading, etc. So when I got into publishing, there were many things I was unprepared for. But over the years, I've come to enjoy doing whatever it takes to bring out a story in a book form. That sense of fulfillment that you get when an author first sees his or her book being published is priceless and so rewarding that you want to keep doing this for the rest of your life.
Our books from local authors in every state. This is one of the events promoted by the government, and I am privileged to be part of this event. To begin with, it's a great honor to release the Archaeology of Mimic Caves published by the department. I think it will go a long way in connecting us to the archaeological mysteries of our state. I have 3 points to ponder upon and reflect with my friends here. There is a direct correlation between speaking in various forums about the books that you have written and the sale of the book and the reach of the book to wider audience. There is a direct correlation. Sometimes we ignore that because there are a lot of us, even including me, who says, okay, I don't care how many people buy my book or read my book. At least I have written, I have published, we are satisfied with that. I think the hunger for us as a small community in the vast country called India should be to ensure that our stories, our books reaches to every corner of it. When Eastern Kirive won the Hindu Literary Prize, I was the proudest because it is not just a recognition of our artistic output, but it is also a recognition of the fact that from one corner of India, called Nagaland, we have so many authors who are thriving, who are being read by various people in the country. Not just the promotion of our books published locally and of the authors, but there's one even where we need to reflect as authors how we consider ourselves within the standpoint of the literary scene, both in India and outside. I have seen, and with my own experience I have understood that our stories can be more interesting if we present it from our own narrative. Sometimes we are overdosed with a lot of books written by outsiders about us, and we see that this culture now is changing. We have more local authors writing about our perspective. To that end, I also believe that it's not just because I published 3 poems, but not just that. But I'm interested in also looking at how our authors write about our culture.
This collection of poems is called Wake, and the inspiration for this title comes from the dual meaning of this word wake. Wake means on the one hand, a kind of wakefulness, being alive, being awake, and on the other hand, it means kind of like its opposite, which is, it means a funeral. When you stay awake to keep vigil for the dead. And using this dichotomy, I wrote a collection of poems that explore different kinds of binaries, and in my own deconstructionist attempt to question these binaries, is there such a thing as complete opposites, or is it possible that opposites actually do not exist, that in one opposite is actually contained its other or its antithesis? This is a poem called Alder 3. I have a great fascination with the alder tree. So this is the 3rd poem titled Alder. It's a sonnet, and as you all know, a sonnet is traditionally a poem of love. And as a popular nursery rhyme says, love and marriage go together like a horse and a carriage. And so when you think of love poetry, it also represents a group of verses that signify a kind of will to life, perhaps fertility. And so I use this form, this life-giving or life-seeking form, poetic form, to explore the idea of death and the possibility of death, and to look at how death and life are forever entwined. I will read you this sonnet now. The sight of charred hillsides bring despair, I know, sooty, sterile slopes where only blackness grows. But see, in the midst of all this madness, the sturdy alder stubbornly stands, knotted and deformed by years of taming, and yet not subdued, nature's reprimand. To us, for all our petty meddling, in matters that transcend our human powers. So while we lose this land that makes us who we are, this prophet stands and mutely tells, with each unfurling leaf, our extinction is not too far. The leaves they age and bid burdened brown farewells, and when our land can no longer bear us, this alder still will stand on hills of bones and dust.